Sponsored by Brilliant. Costs for solar panel systems have been dropping at a blistering pace in the last few years, and are being widely used as a clean alternative to fossil fuels. Solar panels work great for homes and RVs, and some car companies are trying to get it to work there too. But what about boats? Can solar power be a feasible resource to power yachts, boats, and ferries? I'm Matt Ferrell. Welcome to Undecided. Fossil fuels are still the mainstream choice to produce electricity around the globe, and many people assume that the reason for that is simple economics. Fossil fuels are cheaper. But in the past few years, that's changed. Coal power plants, which supply 37% of the world's electricity, have a levelized cost of energy, or LCOE, of $109 per megawatt hour in 2019. In the same year, the solar panel LCOE reached $40 per megawatt hour, whereas 10 years earlier, it had been rated at $359 per megawatt hour, meaning an 89% decrease within a decade. Now that decrease is directly related to the price drop of solar modules, which declined from $106 per watt in 1976 to an incredible 38 cents per watt in 2019, a 99.6% reduction during that same period. That's led to a widespread adoption of solar panels for applications like residential, commercial, grid scale, automotive, and even maritime. In 2019 in the US, ships and boats released 40.4 million metric tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. And although ships have the biggest share, that doesn't leave smaller boats off the hook. While wind and biofuels are being explored to lower carbon emissions from ships, as I looked at in a recent video, solar has also been considered to power boats, ferries, and yachts. Now, although electric boats sound like a modern or future technology, the first electric boat dates back to the 19th century. Moritz von Jacobi, a Prussian inventor, developed an early electric motor in May of 1834, which was then improved and installed in a 28-foot paddle boat. The boat carrying 14 passengers made its first trip in 1838, crossing the Neva River in Russia, and it was the first documented launch of an electric boat. It was powered by 180 kilograms of zinc batteries and was able to travel at a speed of about 2.5 kilometers an hour. At that time, batteries were heavy, large, and not rechargeable, making the commercial production of electric boats a non-starter. The development of recharging technologies like the lead-acid battery in 1859 and the dry cell battery using zinc, magnesium, and ammonium chloride in 1866 triggered improvements in motor technology. Combined with batteries, the invention of outboard motors by William Woodnut Grissom of Philadelphia in 1879 enabled the commercial production of electric boats, and the first one set sail about 3 years later. The battery-powered 7.6-meter-long boat could sail for 6 hours at an average speed of about 13 kilometers an hour. After that, several electric boats were launched, and the technology started to become more popular. But with the arrival of internal combustion engines in the 1920s, electric boats, just like electric cars, were left to drift out to sea. Between October 1973 and February 1974, oil prices rose 400%, while the price of solar panels dropped to $100 per watt in 1975. In that year, Alan Freeman of Rugby, England put together the world's first solar-powered boat. It was a 2.5-meter catamaran equipped with 10 solar modules, each comprised of 5 cells connected together in a series to give a rather modest 1.3 watts. I'm kind of shocked the boat even moved. In the 1990s, solar boat championships started to be organized, and about 3 decades later, the first boat using only solar power from 48 panels crossed the Atlantic Ocean between 2006 and 2007. The boat could run for about 20 hours with a full charge and reach a top speed of about 11 kilometers per hour. Global policies to fight climate change opened the door to the development of improved solar-powered boats. But before we sail ahead into the latest technologies, let's take a look at the basic principle of electric propulsion. In a solar-powered boat, the solar panels generate energy that's stored in batteries. This energy is controlled by a charge controller, which ensures that the solar panel achieves peak performance. A motor controller is used to convert the DC current from the batteries into AC, in addition to controlling the speed and the torque. And finally, a prop shaft or a drive unit is coupled to the motor's axis in order to propel the boat. There are also hybrid technologies where a generator is used to recharge the batteries, like a diesel generator installed in parallel to the electric motor in order to extend its range for emergencies. It's very similar to hybrid cars, but these alternatives aren't as green as solar-powered boats. Fully electric boats offer several advantages compared to traditional boats that use combustion engines. They're silent, clean, demand very little maintenance, have regeneration capacity, and are lightweight. An electric propulsion system is about 30% lighter than a diesel system, mainly because the diesel engines are larger and heavier than electric motors. Also, it's estimated that electric boats have less than 1/20th of the maintenance costs of a diesel engine in the first 10 years. There's no diesel, oil to change, filters, you get the idea. On top of that, the fire hazard of storing gasoline or diesel on the boat is significantly higher than storing batteries. However, like everything in the technology world, solar-powered boats also have downsides. First, they have a pretty limited range compared to gasoline and diesel-powered boats. That's because petrol has about 100 times the energy density of a lithium-ion battery. So an electric boat would need a volume of batteries much larger to provide the same range as a conventional diesel or gasoline engine, which would obviously increase the boat's weight. Now, regarding costs, although lithium-ion battery prices have dropped considerably in the last few years, the upfront cost of a gas outboard engine over an electric one is lower. But this is where solar energy enters the picture. In order to boost the range by recharging the batteries and reducing the total cost of ownership in the long term. Aiming to harness solar and marine power, some companies around the world have been developing interesting solutions. And some of those, like luxury yachts, are a great example of what's possible. Granted, luxury yachts have an outsized demand on resources and high costs when you consider that they'll be used by a very small number of people. On the flip side, you have something like a ferry that can shuttle thousands of people around, which is a more equitable use of resources. But similar to high-end cars, luxury yachts start at a high price due to their innovative concepts. As those concepts become more affordable to manufacture, they'll make their way down into more lower-end and more mainstream models. The Spanish company Silent Yacht has been producing several models of solar-powered yachts. Its 18-meter-long Silent 60 is equipped with a 17-kilowatt solar array that's used to power the propulsion system, which is available in 3 models, and the options range from 2 50-kilowatt motors and 143 kilowatt-hours of batteries, to 2 340-kilowatt motors and 286 kilowatt-hours of batteries. It has a cruising speed of about 6 to 8 knots and can reach a top speed of about 13 to 20 knots. But get ready for some sticker shock. It starts at 2.4 million euros, or about $2.7 million. It's a lot of money. And in case you're not up to speed on luxury yacht prices, just to give you a comparison, an equivalent diesel-powered yacht, the HELIOTROPE 65 with a length of 19.8 meters, goes for about $1.98 million. Silent Yacht also has a larger model available, the Silent 80, that has 26 kilowatts of solar power installed. At a cruising speed of about 6 to 7 knots, the catamaran can run quietly for about 100 nautical miles per day without fuel, and with virtually unlimited range as the solar array recharges the batteries. In addition, Silent Yachts are equipped with a diesel generator for backup. The starting price is about 5.4 million euros, or about $6.26 million. Start saving up those pennies. Again, for comparison, a similar fossil-fueled model, the Ocho Uno, built by Ferrell, is currently for sale for a modest $1.95 million. Now, regarding operating and maintaining conventional diesel-powered yachts, a report by Towergate Insurance, which is a UK-based broker, shows that owners need to spend about 10% of what they paid for the yacht every year. So about a $2 million yacht will run you about $200,000 to be maintained and operated. While diesel currently costs about 96 cents per liter in the US, solar panels recharge the batteries for free. And if electricity is needed to recharge the batteries, the current cost of electricity in the US is about 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And in some ports around the globe, using charging stations is free. On top of that, an electric drivetrain has only a few moving parts in comparison to the hundreds of moving components for an internal combustion engine, making the maintenance cost much lower. Now, moving beyond luxury yachts, the Singapore-based company Azura Marine is making boats, ferries, and plastic collectors. Ferries are a very common transportation method in India, and Azura sells 3 models that differ in passenger capacity, length, and power capacity. The larger model, the E-FERRY 45, can accommodate between 35 and 50 passengers. The overall length is 12.5 meters, and the ferry is powered by a set of 2 motors rated at 20 kilowatts and a battery bank of 60 kilowatt hours. The max speed is 9 to 10 knots, but when cruising at 4 knots, its range is unlimited. To get into the detailed benefits, we can look at another company working on solar ferries, Volt, which produced India's first solar ferry. Aditya is a 20-meter-long catamaran ferry that can accommodate 75 passengers and is powered with 2 20-kilowatt motors that consume the power generated by a 20-kilowatt solar array. In 4 years, this ferry has saved 130,000 liters of diesel and avoided 330 tons of CO2. The cost of Aditya is 1.95 crore, which is the equivalent to about $260,000. A diesel ferry with similar features would cost around 1.5 crore, or $200,000. When it comes to maintenance, an equivalent diesel-powered boat would require oil and filters as well as engine overhaul charges. An analysis made by Default showed that the diesel sibling of Aditya consumed about 2.1 million rupees or $28,000 in fuel for the first year, while Aditya consumed about 62,000 rupees or $835 in grid electricity. The maintenance cost of running the diesel ferry for 1 year every day was over 210,000 rupees or about $2,800. In contrast, the solar ferry has zero maintenance costs until the batteries need to be replaced, about 7 years since Aditya started its operation. And the replacement cost of the battery cells is expected to be about 2.5 million rupees or $33,000 at its current price. The total cost of ownership of the Aditya in a 20-year cycle works out to about 27 million rupees or $368,000. On the other hand, the total cost of ownership for its diesel sibling is 91 million rupees or about $1.2 million, about 3 times higher. With material cost reductions and incentives for the electrification of boats, the solar ferry and yacht market has a lot of room for growth in the next few years. Luxury options like yachts, for example, are still unaffordable for most people, and we can see the higher upfront costs compared to these diesel siblings. But when we analyze solar ferry boats like the Aditya, solar and battery-powered boats turn out to be great in terms of cost and benefits, considering that they'll be transporting hundreds or thousands of people every single day. But even though the cost of solar panels and batteries are dropping, there's still a long way to go towards mainstream adoption in the marine environment. Now, if you'd like to learn more about electricity and the principles behind how we're electrifying pretty much everything in our lives, I'd strongly recommend checking out the Electricity and Magnetism course at Brilliant. I've been using Brilliant for quite a while now to help wrap my head around the fundamentals of all the topics that I talk about here on the channel. They have hands-on interactive courses and topics that range from scientific thinking to special relativity, and programming with Python to machine learning. They've got something for everybody. And Brilliant is super excited to announce the release of their brand new logic course, which is completely revamped and will sharpen your critical thinking skills to make predictions with limited information. Now, all of the concepts are taught through fun and interactive challenges to help you understand the why of something, not just the how. It helps to develop your intuition, which is my favorite part about Brilliant, and it taps into the way I learn. And it just makes it fun. Now go to brilliant.org/undecided to sign up for free. The first 200 people will get 20% off their annual premium membership, and thanks to Brilliant and to all of you for supporting the channel. But what do you think? Do you think that solar battery-powered ships will catch on like we've seen in electric cars? Jump in the comments and let me know. And thanks as always to my patrons. Their direct support really does help with producing these videos. And speaking of which, if you like this video, be sure to check out one of the ones I've linked to right here, and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you think I've earned it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.